October 18th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 4. Court now in session for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well. Mr. Edgeworth, your opening statement, please. The prosecution will show the court that at 2:30 p.m. on October 15th, the defendant, Mr. Will Powers, killed fellow actor Jack Hammer in Studio 1 of Global Studios. It is impossible for anyone else to have committed this heinous crime. The evidence presented during the trial will all point to this fact. I see. Very well. I'd like to move on to some testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, the prosecution may call its first witness. Very well, I call a most familiar face, Detective Gumshoe, to the stand. Detective, if you would briefly describe this case to the court. Yes, sir. I'll explain with the guide map here. To understand this case, it's important to grasp the layout of the studio, see? This here is the employee area. The actors did a run-through of their action scenes during the morning here. This is the main gate to the studios. The security lady that works at the studios was here at 1 p.m. that day. Past the security station, there's a gate, see? Past that are the studios. And here it is, Studio 1. This is the scene of the murder, where the body was found. Now, on the day of the murder, October 15th, there were only 3 people here. The victim, Jack Hammer, the defendant, Will Powers, and a young woman, the production assistant. All the production staff were in the employee area until noon. Then after lunch, the victim, Jack Hammer, went to Studio 1. Right after that, at 1 p.m., the security lady got to the guard station. Now jump ahead to later that day, 5 p.m. The production staff came to Studio 1 to perform a rehearsal. Needless to say, the rehearsal was cancelled. The time of death was 2:30. A samurai spear found lodged in the victim's chest was the murder weapon. That's the case in brief. Anyone like to hear that again? Listen to that whole thing again? I don't think we can press things, so we should be fine. Think I can probably remember that. So the murder weapon was a spear. How medieval. Samurai spear added to the court record. Your Honor, this case is quite simple if you ask one question. And that question is, what did the security lady at the guard station see? Understood. Let's call this security officer to the stand. Will the witness declare her name? My, aren't you a handsome fellow? I'm afraid I'm a bit flustered. Your name, please. Oh, dearie, no need for you to be embarrassed. Just call me Grandma. Your name, please. Seems Edgeworth has a bit of trouble getting his witnesses to say their names. Windy old bag, dearie. Just call me Grandma, it's practically my name. Even when I'm young as an old bag, it's not really. It's still a joke and make fun of me. Can you believe it? There's this boy, the captain of the chess club, he called me the old bag. Well, I cried and cried because... Objection. I object to the witness's talkativeness. Objection sustained. The witness will refrain from rambling on the stand. I was just getting to the good part, dearie. Perhaps we can get to the testimony. Now, the witness was stationed at the main gate on the day of the murder, correct? Yes, correct. And to get to the scene of the murder, someone would have to pass by you. You know your stuff, dearie. You may begin your testimony. He sure is one hell of an old bag. What do you got? Gotta break through this somehow. On the day of the murder, I arrived at the guard station at 1 p.m. Poor old Hammer and the rest had been doing a run-through there since the morning. I had some errands to run that morning. Anyway, it was 1 when I got to the guard station. I was at the main gate from then until 5. Now the murder happened at 2:30, right? Interesting to me because a certain man walked right by me at 2 p.m. It was Powers, that man right there, and he was heading toward the studio. You saw the defendant then? Very well. Let's begin the cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Right to the guard station at 1. Camera and the rest of you doing a run-through. Some errands. It's not relevant, but what kind of errands? Oh, well, you know. Answer the question. Actually, I was watching poor Hammer and Powers observing, you know? Observing? Weren't you supposed to be at the guard station? Whippersnapper, I told you I locked the gate, didn't I? I did my job. I'm not sure your boss would see it that way. Anyway, I always watch Hammer's run-throughs, always. Never missed one in all my years. I want to see a Steel Samurai run-through too. You can quit being a spirit medium and take up guard duty. Not a bad idea. Anyway, it was 1 when I got to the guard station. Main gate until 5. Murder happened 2:30. 2? You're sure? You're a spit. Well, who was the man? Really, you should try not to get so excited at your age. You might strain something. Now, don't get your skivvies all in a bunch. I'll tell you who it was. It was Powers. Man right there, and he was heading toward the studio. So you saw Mr. Powers. That's what I said. Got wax in your ears? This is your chance. Yeah, time to pull out the secret weapon. Say it again, it was him. I believe it was the Steel Samurai. That's a map. Let me get this straight. Old bag, or Miss Old Bag. You've been saying since yesterday that you saw Mr. Powers, correct? But you're talking about the man in his photo, aren't you? Just a moment, Mr. Wright. Let me see that photo. What's this exactly? None other than the Steel Samurai, defender of Neo Old Tokyo. Miss Old Bag? Is this the Mr. Powers that you saw? Of course, didn't your mama teach you any sense? Anyone can plainly see that's Powers, right? No, they can't. Well, I mean, I wonder. True, Mr. Powers does play the role of the Steel Samurai. But, that doesn't mean Mr. Powers is the Steel Samurai. I know that. I wasn't born yesterday. No one in this court's accusing you of that, witness. He's having trouble calling her old bag, apparently. However, you do not have proof that the person in this photo is Mr. Will Powers, do you? Nosy old man. Of course I have proof. What? Huh? Even Edgeworth is surprised. The prosecution would like to ask the witness, please make known all the information in your possession ahead of time. How is that I know everyone would be so nosy? You should be ashamed, all of you. Anyway, I showed that photo to the young detective. He told me this isn't any good as evidence, pal. He didn't even give it a second look. Wow, old Windbag has left even Edgeworth speechless. She's good. Let's hear about your proof, then. The man in the photo. I never saw anything I don't mean, mind you. I never say anything I don't mean, mind you. That morning, during the run and through of the action scene, I saw Mr. Powers trip and fall. He broke one of the props. It was a big mess. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty bad. Now, look at this picture. You can see he's dragging his leg, see? Clear as day. That's how I knew it. Happy? So he had sprained an ankle. Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. He's gotta be hiding something. I'll press her until she squeals. I don't think we want that. She might want that. Whippersnapper. Not pointing fingers at anyone behind their backs. Everything I've said's on the straight and narrow. I'm not even gonna try. Mr. Wright, please, for all our sakes, try not to upset the witness. Thank you, Edgeworth. I think Edgeworth has met his match. Which prop was it? Broke a prop? Sure did, his own samurai spear. His spear was broken? Luckily, I was there with my duct tape to fix it. This strikes me as a significant detail. I better write this down in the court record. Samurai spear updated in the court record. Was Mr. Powers' ankle badly sprained? Not so bad he couldn't walk around. He went to his dressing room to rest up after lunch. Thus the nap. Anyway, saw him dragging his foot when he walked. Dragging his foot. You're absolutely sure? Which ankle did he sprain? He was walking strangely because he was injured. It does look like he was dragging his foot. See? You didn't trust me, whippersnapper. Trip and fall? Yes, and I think he's supposed to be the Steel Samurai. What a laugh. His power sprained his ankle. I helped make it better for him. You helped make it better? I kissed it where it hurt. Let's just skip over that part, shall we? Where was the assistant then? Oh, her? She was cleaning up backdrops, I think. She didn't even know about Powers' ankle. You may continue your testimony. He was present at the run-through. See, Powers, he's the Steel Samurai, then poor old Hammer, the evil magistrate, and me. And what exactly were you doing? Observing, just observing. What about the assistant? She was off moving backdrops and such. She did not see the run-through. I think we've heard enough. Haven't we, Your Honor? Well, there is one thing that bothers me. Which is, where is this Steel Samurai costume now? Actually, well, we couldn't find it. We were looking, though. Anyway, that's not important. The witness did see the Steel Samurai, yes? And it's clear that the person in the Steel Samurai suit was Mr. Will Powers. I suppose that's right. Sure you're sure, Your Honor? Hold it right there. We keep talking possibilities, but we have to agree that this photo shows the Steel Samurai. Nowhere in this photo can we see Mr. Will Powers. The defense has a point. I also wonder if someone else not caught on camera could have killed Mr. Hammer. We have to consider that possibility also. Then allow me to remove that doubt from your mind, Your Honor. Will the witness continue her testimony, please? No need to ask twice. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2:30 p.m., true? The only person I saw go to the studio before then was Will Powers. No one else went there. If they had, I would have seen them. So if no one else went to the studio, then it would have to be the Steel Samurai who did it. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. You know that it was the person in the samurai costume, but we have to prove that Powers wasn't the one in the costume. How do we do this? Unknown. Which ankle was injured? That one sounds like a good one to start with. Poor Hammer's death was 2:30 p.m. True. Press things, press things, press things! Then I just explained I gave donuts to the young detective, and then, after some rubbish about it being a secret, pal, he told me everything. I see Detective Gumshoe shares his fellow officer's fondness for donuts. Delicious. Are you absolutely sure? Quite, Sonny. Nobody suspicious looking passed by at all. Nobody suspicious looking, right. What about before you got to the guard station? You mean before one? Why, everyone was in the employee area before then. The assistant kinda seems to disappear. And I locked the main gate so no one could get in. Not to mention, if they had, I would have seen them. Are you sure? The witness has answered the question. Anyone going into the studio had to pass by the witness. That's right. You let him have it, edgy boy. Edgy boy. Old Windbag sure has balls, or, well, you know what I mean. Old Windbags have a way of skipping over important details. Or for that matter, entirely forgetting them. How convenient. Something for you to look forward to, perhaps? No. That's back to the start. There's something I can evidence here. Actually, that's a good point. Because his card key was back in his dressing room. I might be able to use the card key somewhere. But there would have needed... No, okay, there should be another photo at the very least. Because if Powers was over there in the other place, and they have to pass by, and that's what triggers the camera, there should be another thing of him going through. There should also be a whole lot of other things for, you know, police officers and such whenever they actually reported the body. Oh boy. I present this. I really hope it works. Hold on. Look at this photograph one more time. This photo was taken by the camera at the gate for the studios, correct? Yes, sirree, Sonny. That whenever anyone passes by here, it automatically takes a picture? And here I thought you didn't know your head from a hole in the ground. Right, anyway. It's also true that the computer in the guard station records all security camera data. Oh, you know, if you wanted to work at the studio, we might have an opening. That very computer printed out this photo. Note that on the back of the photo are printed the words October 15th, 2 p.m., photo number 2. Even I know that means it was taken at 2 p.m. on October the 15th. Really, Sonny? Actually, I knew that too. The issue here is the bit at the end where it says photo number 2. Photo number 2. The computer only held data for one photo on that day. Don't you think that's odd? Shouldn't this photo be photo number 1, if it really was the only photo? Order, order. Please tell the court what you mean by this, Mr. Wright. Actually, that's what I want to ask the witness. This evidence shows that not one but 2 people went to the studio that day. Yet there's only data for one of the photos. Who could have erased the data for the other photo? Only someone with access. The security lady herself. Eh? You watch your mouth. The only person I saw that day was Will Powers. But the camera on the gate fired twice. That means 2 people went by. Well, yes, that's what it would seem to mean. Can the witness explain this to the court? Man. I don't understand these newfangled computer things. Edgy boy, help. Huh? Believe me, I want to, but I don't know what this means either. Some help you are. You're a whippersnapper too. Huh. Whippersnapper? Something the matter, Miss Oldbag? Ah, that's right. I just remembered something. Let me guess. Someone else passed by the gate, someone other than the Steel Samurai. Well, yes, I suppose you could put it that way. I see. Your testimony, please. The other person. Every day after I finish my guard duties, I have one other important job to do. I go through the photos recorded on the security computer and check them. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious looking, you see? Come to think of it, now I remember throwing out one photo that day. Miss Oldbag, this is the first I've heard of this. Well, of course, Sonny. I only just remembered it. Right. Anyway, Mr. Wright, please begin the cross-examination. Well, I'd say this was a turn for the unexpected, but I kind of expected this. The other person. Another job. Check all the photos, throw away the ones that are good. You back up all the security camera data. Well, they keep telling me to, but those computers are just so frustrating. In other words, it's gone forever. How exactly do you determine what isn't suspicious looking? Well, you can tell by looking at their faces, for the most part. For the most part. This is a murder trial, Miss Oldbag. Well, I didn't touch that suspicious-looking Will Powers photo, did I? I think she's missing the point. Well, who in the heck was in that photo you erased? A fanboy. Fanboy? Steel Samurai fanboys, real freaks if you ask me. They get information about the rehearsals from gosh knows where. They're always hanging around. One was there that day. Wait a second, didn't you just say no one else could get in? I locked the main gate so no one could get in, those were your words. Well, if you must know, there's a drain that goes into the employee area. The grate's been loose for a while. It leads outside and, well, that's where they come in. They come in through the drain? I told you they were freaks. Oh, and... they're kids, children, whippersnappers. Kids? So on the photo that you erased, it was a boy, probably 2nd or 3rd grade. What? Order. Let me get this straight. You saw 2 people pass by the gate on their way to the studio that day. One was a Steel Samurai dragging his leg. The other was a boy who looked to be in about 2nd or 3rd grade. Oh yes, well, we see his type there every day. Can't stop him, can't catch him. A boy in 2nd or 3rd grade, huh? I assume it would be hard, if not impossible, for a young boy to wield a samurai spear? Impossible, I think. It's quite heavy. Right, as I said, I didn't pay him much mind. That's why I erased the data. Nick, what's going on? I mean, the boy was there. That makes him a suspect. Yeah, and they're already trying to unsuspect him. This court will take a 5-minute recess. I want the defense and the prosecution to consider this new information. And no forgetting vital information this time. Sorry, Judge, it's not my fault. 11:08. Mr. Powers? Yes? Tell me straight. Were you really in your dressing room? You didn't go to the studio? I didn't go to the studio, I was sleeping, honest. So who was the Steel Samurai in that security photo? How should I know? The Steel Samurai costume is off in the corner of the dressing room. Anyone could have walked in and taken it, really. What? You should take better care of that stuff. I couldn't imagine anyone would want to steal a Steel Samurai costume. So, where does this leave me? It doesn't look good. Sniff. You're the only likely suspect right now. Nick, what are we gonna do? First, you play for more time. I'll start targeting someone else that could conceivably have done this. Right. And it'll take them so long to shoot us down that we can get another day. Right, but if we pick the wrong person, we might lose on the spot. You don't sound very optimistic. I'm not optimistic at all, actually. Hey, Nick, it's time. Okay, let's go. What does that mean? Please don't sigh like that. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. Mr. Edgeworth, will you present the prosecution's thoughts on this matter? The prosecution's thoughts are simple. Nothing has changed. The other person who went to the studios was a boy of roughly 10 years of age. The photo we do have may not be hard evidence. But there is still no one else that could have committed this crime. Call for a verdict of guilty for the defendant, Mr. Will Powers. Very well. Mr. Wright, your thoughts? The defense disagrees with the prosecution's claim. There is another person who could have committed this crime. Order. Interesting. Let us hear who you have in mind. However, be aware that this court does not look kindly on accusing the innocent. If you accuse someone who is obviously innocent, you will be penalized. Right, as if the stakes weren't high enough. So who was this person other than the Mr. Powers that could have committed murder? The assistant. The assistant. The Steel Samurai costume was in his dressing room. She stole it, and in doing so, became the Steel Samurai. But you're saying the Steel Samurai in the picture is really the assistant. That's correct, Your Honor. If you're serious, you've got guts, Mr. Wright. Remember the photo? Wasn't the Steel Samurai a little lame? He was dragging his foot. Oh. Uh-oh, bad feeling time. Remember the testimony correctly concerning Powers' injury. Powers and poor Hammer were at the run-through. Oh, and me. What about the assistant? Oh, her. She was cleaning up the backdrops, I think. She didn't know about Powers' ankle. The assistant knew nothing of Mr. Powers' injury. She could look at the Steel Samurai. Look with that costume. But she couldn't walk the Steel Samurai walk. She wouldn't have limped. Yeah. It kinda takes the legs out from under that case. Mr. Wright, I'm afraid I have to penalize you as I warned. Nobody knows the trouble I have seen. Maybe move on. This fight isn't over yet. If you would, one more chance? Farewell. So other than Mr. Powers, who could it have been? Well, we don't know where the assistant girl was. It was the grade school boy. It was the toddler with a knife accident. Oh no! The true culprit. Childhood violence. Fuck it. Let's anger old bag. What's the security lady? Windy old bag. Who? The Steel Samurai is dragging his leg in the picture. That means whoever was in the suit knew about that morning's injury. Maybe because they had been watching the action scene run through. There's only one person other than Powers and Hammer who knew about the injury. Security lady. Old bag. What? Whippersnapper? Order. It's true, old bag. Old bag? That's Ms. Old Bag to you. This old bag was standing guard alone at the main gate. She was by herself. In other words, she has no alibi. She could have briefly left her post to steal the Steel Samurai costume. Steal. Then slipped into Studio 1, the scene of the murder. Why would she go through the trouble of wearing the Steel Samurai costume? Simple, Your Honor. She knew the camera at the gate would take her picture. If she was in his costume, she could point the finger at Mr. Powers. I see. Excellent deductive reasoning, Mr. Wright. Oh yeah, Sherlock Holmes too, baby. Huh? That's odd. Isn't this the part where Edgeworth pounces? Doesn't he usually jump up with an objection and some new damning evidence? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, does the prosecution have an opinion on this matter? The prosecution has no meaningful objections at this time. What? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, so you all think I did it, is that it? Edgy boy, don't just sit there, do something. That's my move. Maybe now's my chance to take this the whole way. Let's... At the very least, we can hold her in contempt, right? The very same reasoning that makes Mr. Powers a suspect in this case can be used to cast doubt on Miss Oldbag's actions on that day. Why would I do something so horrible to poor Hammer? Why would he? You forget that Mr. Powers lacks a clear motive too. Indeed. That did it. Now one bag's one of the suspects. No hard feelings, I hope. Wait just a minute. What about the other person who went to the studio? The boy, the one whose photo I erased. It's only a grade schooler though, as you said. 2nd or 3rd grade, was it? It doesn't matter. When I was that age, I could pin my old man in 10 seconds tops. Your thoughts, Mr. Rat? The boy is not the killer. What? How can you be so sure? Or is it be nice to the kids and mean to your elders day? I have proof. Proof? Indeed. Then let's see this proof, Mr. Rat. You have proof that shows the boy could not have committed this murder. Card key. Scene of the murder, as we all know, was Studio 1. However, you need a card key to enter Studio 1. How could a boy with no formal relation to the studios have a card key? I see. Well, would the witness care to comment on this? Herf. The windbag? Speechless. This has got to be a first. Farewell. This court will suspend proceedings on the current trial for today. Mr. Edgeworth, please find out more about your witness, Miss Wendy, what was her name? Something old bag, Your Honor. And the prosecution will look further into this old bag before we continue. That is all. This court is adjourned. Wait a second. I'm not going to just sit here while you run off barking at the wrong tree. Me. I'm talking. Oh great, stop the presses. The windbag wants to talk. This old bag, what is this all about? Have you omitted something from your testimony? Actually, if you must know, there's something I was told not to talk about. Not to talk about? By whom? Huh? Wasn't Edgeworth who told her not to talk? Well, testify. Testify. My lips were sealed. Global Studios wanted me to keep quiet about something. There were some other people at the studios on the day of the murder. They said they had nothing to do with it, see? So they told me to just pretend that they hadn't been at the studios that day. But if you're going to go accusing me, I'm not letting them get away scot-free. Miss Oldbag, this is crucial information. Why'd you keep this from the court until now? Haven't you been listening? They told me to shut my trap, and I always do what I'm told. No, this isn't a bad dream, Your Honor. Witness the power of the old bag. Mr. Rat, your cross-examination. So you were told not to talk? That's right. Why didn't I hear about this? Don't be too hard on yourself, we were all in on it. Who were these other people? The director and the producer, for starters. The director? We should have known something was fishy. How could they have done a run-through of their action scene without a director? Of course. Yes, well, I was surprised no one asked about it. So where are these people? The director was in the employee-only area all morning for the run-through. He joined the producer around lunchtime and they had a meeting after that. Where? That one's Studio 2 trailer. Studio 2? There's Studio 2? Well, if you look at the guide map. Here it is. You get through the gate and go to the left. The path where the monkey's head has fallen over. Well, Mr. Rat, would you like to continue the cross-examination? I think I've already asked all my questions, but... Sure. Your Honor, we have learned that there were others at Global Studios on the day in question. The director and the producer and some bigwigs were all present. Yet, as we stand here, they have not been questioned. I hold that it is impossible to declare a verdict on the defendant, Mr. Powers. The court acknowledges the defense's point. Prosecution will gather more information about the witness, Miss Oldbag, and more information about these other people we have just been told of. I understand, Your Honor. The same as today's proceedings in the trial of Mr. Will Powers. That is all. This court is adjourned. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. I was right to ask you to defend me. Really? It's nothing. or should I? We'll be going down to the studios to do some more investigating. We have to find out more about this director and producer. They'll be turning up at the next trial as witnesses for certain. So now's my chance to get material for the cross-examination. So, Nick, have we figured out just who it was in that steel samurai costume? Could it really have been Old Back? What do you think, Mr. Powers? I don't think it was her, really. Neither do I, Nick. Yeah, I know. Look, I was just buying time back there. Someone had to be the bad guy for a bit to take the pressure off Mr. Powers. Poor old windbag, I feel kinda sorry for her. Well, she wasn't winning any points in there, or with or without my accusation. Okay, let's get down to the studios. Right, we'll be back to visit you soon. Thanks. Thanks, guys. To be continued.